Welcome to Tia's Table, where there's always good food and good conversation. Sit back, grab a snack, and let's have some girl talk. Hey girl, welcome back to another episode of Tia's Table. I'm Tia, an accountability coach for women looking to live a healthier life in a low maintenance way by developing small habits that they can sustain throughout the rest of their life. Welcome back to this podcast. I'm so glad we are having a chance to talk to each other today. I'm very excited to share the topic that we will be covering today. But before we get into that, let's talk about what's on Tia's table this week. Now, this is something that just came to me, girl, this week. You know, sometimes you get magazines in the mail and you skim through them and you really don't know how good of an idea some of the recipes are until you actually try them for yourself. I saw an idea in a magazine, but then when I read the recipe, I was like, ooh, but those ingredients don't sound like they're going to be hitting on too much, right? I was like, but the idea itself is a very good one. So why don't we take their idea, but you know, girl, use our own ingredients and what we know about cooking and make a very delicious, healthy, and I almost want to say it's also keto friendly for the girls that want to do keto, sheet pan breakfast. I love having veggies in the morning with my eggs. I think it is one of the most delicious meals if you're able to pull it off during the week. I love using leftover veggies and scrambling them into eggs. I love roasting fresh veggies if I have the time. I am just really a big believer in trying to squeeze veggies in to meals all throughout the day. And if I can start my day with protein and veggies, I know like I'm going to feel full well up into, and if not, past lunchtime, right? And this is exactly what that recipe does. So, girl, on a day when you feel like you have the time, because you are going to need a little bit of time, okay? All you have to do is set that oven to 400 degrees. You wait for it to preheat. You line your favorite sheet pan with parchment paper. You build a little mound, if you will, using your favorite stir-fry mix or leftover veggies or one of the slaw mixes from your grocery store. You create a little mountain in the middle of your parchment paper. You drizzle it with extra virgin olive oil. You season it with your favorite seasonings. I like using an avocado toast seasoning because it has a little bit of salt and a whole lot of like crushed red pepper in it. It's so good. So I use that. You toss that so that the seasoning gets all over each and every piece. Then you want to create a little perimeter of bacon around your mound, right? Because as it cooks, the grease and the juice from that bacon is going to seep into those veggies. And as the veggies are cooking, you're going to be tossing them anyway, girl. So not only will they have that delicious seasoning that you already put on there, but now they are also going to have that little extra oomph from that bacon. So you put that on there and then you just slide it into the oven. And so you're going to let it cook. Now, I am no one's recipe writer. I should become one though, since I'm going to be giving out recipes as I discover things. But let's just guesstimate. We're going to cook it for about 10 minutes, right? You want to cook it until the bacon is like almost turning over into being done, but it's not done yet. So about let's say 10 to 12 minutes, right? You'll cook it. You can flip your bacon at this point. You can toss those veggies at this point again to make sure the ones on the bottom are getting that crispiness that the oven gives on the top too. So you want to toss your veggies, flip your bacon, and at this point, you can go ahead and add however many eggs you want to eat. Now, I only do 2, but if you're making this for like a family or for like a group, girl, you might want to crack 4 to 6 eggs. But and you might want to put more bacon. Now, I only use 2 pieces of bacon when I make mine because I'm just feeding myself. But if I were making this for my family, I would probably have to do, let's see, it's 5 of us, 2, 10. Like I'd probably have to put at least 10 pieces, or I would have to cut 5 pieces in half so that everybody has, enough bacon. So, keep that in mind too. You might need to up some of these portions depending on who you're feeding. But if it's just me and you and we're having a virtual breakfast date, girl, you can do 2 pieces of bacon. And you do your 2 eggs. So you put your eggs on there and then you put it back in the oven and you let it cook until the egg whites are done and the yolk isn't super jiggly. And again, we don't know how many minutes that's going to take. We just have to watch. And y'all know I don't like watching food. And normally I say that all the time. I'm like, I don't want to have to watch my food. Just set it and forget it. But with this one, you're going to have to kind of watch. So when the eggs are done, just like kitchen magic, that bacon is going to be perfectly crispy. Now, also, I do know some people don't like super crunchy and crispy bacon. I don't know why, because it's fabulous. But if you're a person that likes your bacon to be less crispy, you probably want to take your bacon out before it gets to that point. So you're going to have to watch it. But once the eggs are done, you can pull that sheet pan out of the oven. And then you'll be able to just plate your food. Everything is going to slide right off that parchment paper with no problem. It is such a filling breakfast. And it tastes so good. Dare I say, it might almost even be restaurant quality. I mean, come on. Like it's that good. So filling, you're going to love it. You won't even need a snack between breakfast and lunch. And it's going to make you so happy to have that breakfast in front of you. When you look down at your plate, you're going to be like, wow, this looks really good. It tastes good. And you're going to be full without feeling stuffed. And that's what I like about it. I always love it when I'm able to eat a meal that truly did satisfy me and it's leaving me with that feeling of no longer being hungry. So I've satisfied my cravings. I'm not hungry anymore, but I'm also not so stuffed that I feel miserable or like I got to take a nap and then start my day again. And this meal does just that. So that's what's on my table. Hope you enjoy it. That recipe and the directions are in your inbox if you are subscribed to my newsletter. If you are not subscribed to my newsletter, girl, what are you waiting for? Go to my website, www.tiavfitness.com. Hit the subscribe button, and you will get all of those workout ideas, motivational articles, and all of the goodness and positive vibes we spread around here delivered to your inbox once or twice a month. I don't spam. And I only give you what you need, right? Okay, so moving into what we really got on this call for today. And that is to talk about how we can continue to find success in the doing. We've been talking about that all month. And after our last call, I really kind of sat and thought about how I could best help anybody avoid some of the pitfalls of focusing way too much on the end result instead of focusing on the now. How can people be more present with their journey? And it came to me that there are a couple things that I like to practice that I think will truly help everyone focus more on the now, focus more on the doing, and it will allow you to focus less on the end result. Because, you know, obviously, girl, we might not see the end result for quite some time. So we need to be happy in the today. And one of the things that I kind of like to repeat to myself over and over again, a mantra, if you will, is the 3 C's. Don't compare, don't compete, don't complain. And if you've been listening to this podcast since it came out, which that was only 11 episodes ago. I do believe this is episode 11 that we're in. But if you've been listening to this podcast, maybe you've picked up on that I say that at the end of every call that we have with each other. I say, don't compare, don't compete, don't complain. What God has for you is for you. And that is what I want everyone to leave this particular chat with today. And so we're going to go through the 3 C's to live by, starting with don't compare. And I know this one is tough, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. It is one of the toughest things, I think, to deal with, especially in a day like today where there's social media. And so you really get an insight into what everybody is doing, what everybody has, where they're going, how they're living their life. And sometimes too much information can just be too much. Like it's too much. Like we don't really even need to know that much about other people. Because when we know too much, then we start to compare ourselves to what everybody else is doing. And that is never a good thing because all of us are living completely different lives, right? All of us have different backgrounds. All of us have different resources. All of us just have a different journey that we're on and different purposes and just different everything. So when we sit and we compare what we got going on to somebody else, no matter what it is, girl, it is a waste of our time, I really think. And so in order to kind of keep the comparisons at a minimum, I always like to tell people, just remind yourself that two people could literally do the exact same thing and have completely different outcomes. You and another person could do the exact same weight loss program and have different results, right? You and another person could weigh the exact same thing and look completely different. You and another person could be the exact same dress or jean size and still have different body types. You and another person could start working for a company or start your business all on the exact same day, work the same amount of hours in any given day, and ultimately have a completely different career path. Things just tend to work that way. So comparing yourself to someone else for whatever the reason is really like someone stealing something from you in broad daylight. They're stealing your joy from you, and they are not even aware that they are doing that. And not that they're even trying to do it. I think comparison is just the way we punish ourselves, to be quite honest. So if you ever want to torture yourself, girl, start comparing yourself to other people. That'll bring your high vibration down real quick. And it's something that we kind of just want to avoid doing if we can. And I know that's hard because we're just being given way too much information about any and everything these days. But if you can work on not comparing yourself to others for whatever the reason, I think that is step number one to really focusing on the now and finding success in your own doing. Number two, don't compete, which you would kind of think is similar to comparing yourself to someone else, but it's really not. So when I think of competing, whether someone else knows we're competing with them or not, and let's face it, a lot of times people just ain't even aware. And yes, I said ain't. They are not even aware that they are in a competition with you, right? Because see, this is how it goes. First, you start off comparing, right? And it's a slippery slope. So first we started comparing, and now we have kind of slid down into the competition lane where now we're competing with people, and they are not even playing in the same game as us. Like they have no idea that that they are even in a competition, but in your mind, you're competing with whoever this is over whatever it is. So to help with the feeling of competing, try to remember that you are running your own race. Literally, everyone is. You are your own competition. You can only be better than the you were the day before. What someone else has going on or how fast it looks like it's taking them to achieve a goal, ultimately at the end of the day doesn't have anything to do with us, because we can only move as fast as our own life journey is going to allow us to anyway. So just continue to run your own race. When you compete, or when we compete with others, knowing and unknowingly, it splits our focus, because you know what happens when you compete with someone? You also have to be mindful of their progress too, right? When you're running a race, it's not enough for me to run my fastest. I also have to be aware of who's running faster than me. And if I'm thinking about who's running faster than me, how can I focus 100% on how fast I'm running? You can't do it. We can't do it. It literally will be one of the most exhausting things I think we do to ourselves, right? Because I'm trying to complete my own goals, focus on my own healthy habits, and do things that are ultimately going to make me a better person. But if I'm also competing with you or anyone else, I'm also focusing on your journey and your results, which is why I have never been a huge fan of like those office weight loss challenges, or even when like a group of friends might get together and they're like, oh girl, let's put a pot of money and whoever loses the most weight, they'll win, right? And I know those things are meant to be motivational and they're meant to create some type of consistency, and they are really, the intention behind them is definitely a good one. However, I think when you enter into a competition with anybody, number one, you got to be prepared to lose, because there can only be it's only two outcomes with that. You're either going to win or you're going to lose, and there really is no in between, right? Everybody doesn't get a trophy. So one, I feel like that's a bit of an emotional thing that we could really do without. Number two, when you are participating in something like that, there is this sense of not only do I got to focus on what I'm doing, but I also got to make sure nobody else is doing better than me. And that's not really the energy that we want to put out or give either, right? You want to be able to root for other people and hope that they're doing good without making it feel as if you are losing because they are doing great. So competing just as a whole, like my 8-year-old son will tell me, Mommy, I don't like competitions. And I'm like, son, I get it. Like, I get it. You can just be you, be the greatest version of you can be. Try to tackle your goals at your own speed, in your own time, in your own way, without necessarily competing with anybody else, right? So don't compare, don't compete. Our last C is complaining. And I think this one is a tough one too, because we like to vent. Girl, I like calling you up and being like, hey, girl, let me tell you about this particular thing, right? And how it bothered me. And I like being able to get things off of my chest. I like being able to just air out things and just set them free, right? And I think it's good to vent on a certain, there are levels to everything. But I think it's good to vent or complain as long as you are getting it off your chest and then moving on. But I really don't think that's how complaining tends to work. And by complaining, I mean we are repeating these little vent sessions more than once. So you vent to your mama, you vent to your friend, you vent to your partner, you vent to literally anybody who you talk to. You are filling everybody in on whatever this issue is. And I just think that is truly not the way, right? What does complaining even solve? I think it's better to be maybe solutions focused. So you vent one time, get it off your chest. That way, you got to get whatever that feeling is you get when you tell someone something, right? So you're not in it alone anymore. And then after that, we should be switching our energy into being more solution focused. So if this thing is bothering me and I'm complaining about it, instead of complaining about it more than once, I'm going to now start talking about ways that I can handle or fix whatever this issue is. Complaining, I wish it burned calories. I really do. Because if it did, my goodness, that would be like the best workout, the best workout ever. But it's one of those things where if you're not careful, you will find yourself doing it without even truly even meaning to. I think complaining also puts people just in a bad mood. And I think it's because you end up living in that space for longer than you should. So it's like you work up a mad all over again over something that probably doesn't even deserve as much energy as we're giving it. But then every time you tell the story, those emotions and those feelings, they come back to the surface all over again. So we have to watch out for that. We have to watch out for the things that we say, because we all know words have power. So you don't want to find yourself complaining about the same thing over and over and over again, because it's actually doing the opposite of what we may be setting out to do, and that's ultimately fix whatever that problem might be. So I think it's perfectly okay to admit that something sucks and then just kind of move on. Acknowledge that you don't like it, girl, and then let it go. Focus on the solution. Maybe start brainstorming when you feel like you're about to complain. Switch your way of thinking and saying, okay, instead of thinking about how this is bothering me or talking about how this thing is bothering me or how I don't like it, let me focus on what I can do to change it. What are some things that I can do so that this particular thing is no longer frustrating me, or even more so, not frustrating me as much to the point where I feel like I got to talk about it or think about it or allow it to take up so much of my mental space. So complaining is definitely one of the things that I think is a little tricky, because sometimes I don't think we even realize that it's happening. I think a lot of times when you are sharing something with a friend or a family member, it doesn't even feel like complaining. But one of the little strategies that I like to use for myself is that if I find myself talking about something negative or something I didn't like or that bothered me or whatever, more than twice, I'm like, oh girl, at this point, you're just complaining about it. And you kind of need to just start focusing on the solution to the problem and maybe talk about that. Maybe you switch it and you say, I was unhappy about X, but, I decided to do Y, Z, and A, right? I decided to look up something that could help me with that problem and just start switching the way you talk about it to being more solution based. And I think that's one way to kind of squash the complaining as soon as it starts to arise. So my 3 C's, just to run them back one more time, are don't compare, don't compete, don't complain. Don't compare, don't compete, don't complain. And especially when I feel like I might get stressed out about something, or I start to have a little bit of imposter syndrome, which is something that I think people who are in the creative space, or maybe even not in the creative space, might deal with quite a bit. Whenever you find yourself just doubting anything about yourself, you say, don't compare, don't compete, don't complain. Whenever I start focusing way too much on the end goal of something or what the end result may or may not be, and if that starts to work me up and get me stressed out, I say to myself, don't compare, don't compete, don't complain. Because more oftentimes than not, one of those 3 C's will help me with that. If I'm knowing my gut, I'm like, Tia, you are eating right every day. You're drinking all of your water. You're getting enough rest. You're working out, you're doing all of the things you're supposed to be doing. You have got to find what you love about that process in the present day and try not to compare, compete, complain your way into a place that is going to make this process miserable for you. And I know that can be hard because we want those results quick, or we want to just know to ourselves, okay, I'm doing this every day. And y'all know how we are. Summertime is always our marker, right? By the time these kids get out of school, I want to be looking like this, right? And that's fine. That's great. It's nothing wrong with having an end goal. But on a day-to-day basis, we don't want to be so focused on that and placing so much value in that we find ourselves missing the joy of the process in the now, in the present day. And if you can get into the habit of identifying when these 3 C's are happening to you and then instantly putting something into place that helps you work through those, I think you'll find that you'll be able to find more success in the doing, because you won't be comparing yourself to everything that we see. You won't be competing with people that like we said, they don't even know they're competing with you. And then lastly, you won't be complaining. Nobody likes a negative Nancy. No one likes a negative Nancy. And I know that when we talk to people, or I can speak for myself, I don't know. I know that when I talk to people, I try not, when they ask me how things are going, which I get toxic positivity is a thing, so please don't DM me about that. But then the other side to that is, it's not that everything is going great, girl. I just don't want to complain. So also just be mindful of that for yourself too, that it's one thing to say, everything is fine. If things are not fine, then yes, you should definitely talk to somebody about that. But if things are okay and the things that we find ourselves talking about are just very easy surface level things like, girl, I'm just trying to lose this weight. Even if that's a big thing to you, start talking about it in a way that's more solution focused. So instead of saying, girl, I'm so unhappy, I still ain't lost this weight, you should say, and these are just suggestions, right? You should say, yeah, girl, everything is going okay. I'm still working out and I'm meal planning. So if you got any recipes you've tried lately, text them to me, girl. You see how easy that is? We went from saying like, girl, I still ain't lost this weight yet to, yeah, girl, I'm still working out. And we had the still in there. We have the still. Yeah, I'm still working out and I'm still trying to find really healthy meals that help me feel good about myself, but that also taste great. So, send me anything that you've tried lately. One of them is complaining. One of them is solution focused. And they sound completely different, or at least they sound completely different to me. So don't compare, don't complete, don't complain, don't compare, don't compete, don't complain. Know truly that's what's meant for you to have it. It is going to be yours, even if it takes a little bit longer for you to get it than what we thought, because that is just how things tend to go. Being an adult is not the easiest thing, and I really wish people would have kind of prepped us for this when we were younger, when they were telling us all of the things that we shouldn't have been doing. I really wish that they had been more solution focused back then, and they should have been like, hey, we know we keep telling you don't do this, don't do that, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing that. But also they should have been like, hey, if you do X, Y, and Z, it's going to make your life easier. Why don't you try learning this, or why don't you try doing that? Because these are things you'll need as you grow up. I mean, but as a mom of this generation, as we are learning more, we will do more and we will do better by the ones that we are raising, right? So one more time, don't compare, don't compete, don't complain. And we're going to find the joy and the happiness in the doing while we are on our individual journeys. Moving into the workout report. Now, I have still been doing pretty much the same thing. I'm trying to be active every day. So far, I've been successful in that for the month of March. I'm trying to do more cardio, trying to get back into running and finding a healthy balance between running and cycling so that I'm not doing too much cardio. And then also incorporating strength training in there too. And also I've been trying to incorporate a little bit of yoga into my regimen so that I don't get too sore and so that my muscles feel good and all of that. So I feel really happy with where I'm at as far as my workouts are concerned. Someone messaged me on Instagram and asked me about the results from doing dry January. She just wanted more clarification on that. So if you are like that too, and you kind of wanted to know what I meant by I feel better since dry January, I just mean that I'm not as puffy and like inflamed as I was. I think when you remove a lot of sugar from your diet, it does just make you feel better. So for me personally, and I may have said this on here before, I'm not sure. So if I'm repeating myself, just bear with me, girl. I don't think I lost any weight necessarily from doing dry January, but I think my overall appearance just looks better. I just don't look as like puffy and red or like inflamed, I feel like at least I am starting to see more of like my lean muscle now. And I know that's a direct reflection of removing things from my diet, right? And increasing my cardio and just getting really back down to the basics of doing what I know works for me. That's why I always encourage everybody to find out what works for you and then just do that. but mix it up enough that you keep your body confused and you keep your body interested and engaged. But girl, do what works for you. And once you figure that out for yourself, you will truly find success in the doing, because you'll know every day, especially if you are a busy woman. All of the women that I coach are like super busy women, right? And I think it helps a busy woman to know, like, if I allocate X amount of time to working out and planning meals, that I'm gonna get a certain result. I want to know that this time that I'm putting into this and I'm setting aside for this is going to be a results driven block of time. And I think one way that you can assure yourself of that is by doing what you know works for you. And it does take a little bit of time to figure out what is going to be your thing. But once you figure out what your thing is, it really does just make the whole process a lot smoother, a lot easier, and less stressful. So that's why I always encourage everybody, play around with lots of different workouts, try different things like getting a personal trainer, taking fitness classes. If you want to try different pieces of fitness equipment at the gym before investing on them for like at home use, do that. Sign up for different programs online. Obviously, we're not doing all these things at one time because we got to focus on them to know if they're going to work. But sign up for some of the different platforms online. Try Beachbody, try Peloton. Like, see if any friends have access codes or like 60-day passes to some of the apps or programs that they say work for them. Just try different things. Tweak your eating style and see if there's anything that you could possibly be eating that you might need to remove from your diet or just eat less of. Maybe there are some things that you need to be eating more of, drinking more water. For a lot of people, they probably need to be getting more rest days or just recovery time, whether it's active or inactive. For some people, that could be the little tweak that they need. You just have to figure out what's going to work for you. But once you figure it out, that too will help you find the success in the doing. But not only that, it'll help you feel like it is time well spent while you're on your journey. And I don't know how I got on that, but I think we were talking about my personal workout report. Yeah, so I'm just getting back to the basics of doing what I know works for me. That's where that came from. I'm just getting back to what I know works for me, and I can see the results happening. And because of that, because I can see results starting to happen, it's definitely keeping me encouraged enough to see things all the way through until I get to a place where I feel like I just need to maintain. I get Clean Eating magazine delivered to me like in the mail, like old school magazines, used to be delivered to you by the postal service. I still get Clean Eating magazine. It comes out, I think, like once a quarter, if I'm not mistaken, or like once every 2 months. And it is my favorite magazine. It's full of recipes every time it comes out. All of the recipes are super healthy and clean, obviously, because it's the name of the magazine. The February-March 2022 issue had an article in there about getting back to the basics and some things that we can do to make sure that all of our working out and eating right is actually going to add up to giving us the results that we want. And I wanted to quickly just go through the 6 tips that they give for that, because it's literally how I coach women and it's the way that I try to live my life. So I'm going to share them here with you, girl. Right? So number 1, they say eating too little. So if you're not eating enough, that could be keeping you from the results that you want to see. Number 2 is relying on diet foods, which I can't speak too much to that because I'm not a diet food consumer. Like, I don't buy things that say like light or low calorie or anything like that. So I can't speak to that. But obviously they say relying solely on those isn't the way to go. Number 3 is exercising wrong, which we just kind of talked about that. Make sure that you are doing workouts that work for you, that get your heart rate up into that target heart rate zone so that you know you're burning fat while you're working out, and that you're switching it up enough so that your body doesn't get bored. And you want to make sure you got a nice balance of cardio and strength training so that while you are losing weight, you're also gaining muscle and sculpting a beautiful body. Number 4 is not getting enough rest, not sleeping enough, and probably not resting enough between really intense workouts. So look at what you're doing and see, like, am I getting enough sleep every night? Am I resting enough between workouts? Like, do I have some low impact days built into my week so that every time I work out, it's not like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, because we don't want that. Some of these days need to be low and slow. So look at what you're doing and see if you're getting enough rest. Number 5 is missing out on functional nutrients. So are we eating enough veggies? Like, am I getting enough protein? Am I eliminating processed foods and like bad sugars to the best of my ability? We don't know. We got to take a look at what we're eating. Number 6 is stressing out. This is a big one because of the way your body might hold stress and the way stress might show up in your body. I know for me, when I was much younger, if I was stressed out, my body would like burn fat. Like it was the opposite. But these days, as I am approaching my fabulous 40s, when I'm stressed out, my body holds on to that stress and you can see it. So let's go back for a second. So a part of, I think, Dry January for me too was just eliminating a lot of stress and just taking a big deep breath, a whole lot of woo-saw. And I think me being less stressed has also led to me seeing those visual changes that we talked about. But anyway, so yes, being stressed out. So if you find that you're stressed or if something is stressing you out, please do find someone to talk to about that, because girl, that is not complaining. That is something is bothering me. It is causing me to be stressed out. The stress is living in my body. I want to get rid of it. So I need to either meet with my doctor, get a licensed therapist. Step number 1 could be to tell like a family member or a really close friend, like, girl, something is stressing me out and I think I need help. And maybe they can give you the support you need to take the next step to find a professional that can help you with that. So definitely try to eliminate whatever stress we can. And then number 7 is obsessing over the scale. And we talk about that a lot on here. Scale who? Like, we are not going to let a square tell us how good we are doing at anything. We're not going to give that little number on that square so much value that it causes us to be like obsessed. Like if you are weighing yourself every day, because I know people do that. If you're weighing yourself every day, you kind of got to think about why you're doing that. Number 1, because the number is not going to change that much from day to day, right? Number 2, if it does change, what does that do to you? Obviously, if you weigh less, then that probably puts you in a great mood and you feel really great. But then let's say the next day, what if you are 2 pounds heavier? Like what does that do to your day or your mood or your vibe or your energy? Like, yeah, even when I'm coaching women, like I rarely ever ask them to weigh themselves. I only ever recommend weighing if I can tell it really means something to that woman to see a number. And I feel like her taking the step to like weigh herself is going to kind of relax her or give her something that she's looking for. Then I'm like, oh, okay, girl, well, weigh yourself. But literally still only do it once a week, because from day to day, that number is not going to change so much unless you are doing something that is probably unhealthy and very extreme that you cannot sustain over your lifetime, right? So let's break up with the scale, love it a little less, use it a whole lot less, and see if that too can't help you find success in the doing. Because it's kind of like you're grading yourself every day. And I don't need that kind of pressure. I don't know about anybody else, but I certainly don't need the kind of pressure that comes with seeing what I weigh every day. Because I could be feeling really good about myself and all the things that I'm doing, and you want to talk about the thief of joy, girl, it's the scale. It's the scale and comparison. Because those two things probably go hand in hand, which we don't have enough time to talk about that on this particular episode, but yeah, so let's break up with the scale. Obsessing over the scale is never a good thing. So those were their quick 7 tips for how we can make sure we're not getting frustrated while we are on our journey, just to make sure we're covering our bases and doing everything. So before we get off the call, girl, because in a minute I gotta go get in that school pickup line, and I promised my daughter a boba tea. I promised her I would have it for her when I picked her up from school, so I literally have to leave here in a few minutes. Let's talk about some of the random things going on in my life. These are the thought bubbles for this particular call. So I have been baking. I attempted brioche bread. It came out beautiful. I mean, way better than I expected it to come out, seeing as how I did a whole lot wrong with the actual making of the brioche dough. It did not come out as perfect as it looked. It came out good. It was edible. We could eat it. It had a really good flavor, but I think the overall cook time that was given in the cookbook was off. It's either that or my pan was too small, or maybe I didn't roll the balls in an equal enough portion to each other, and that could have made it a little off. I don't know, but I feel like I need to try it again and figure out what didn't go right about it this particular time. But people were messaging me saying the fact that I was even trying brioche was like a big deal in and of itself, and I had no idea that was a big deal. So yeah, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it again and see how it comes out. I have started dog training Cookie, our Shih Poo, just to try to break some of the habits that he has. A friend of mine told me about the Good Pup app, and it is the most amazing thing that I think I have been introduced to lately. After our first session, my dog was already doing so much better. We have had 2 sessions since we started, and just to see Cookie go from being such a unruly puppy to being a dog that you can actually, I don't know, tell him to do something and then he does it, obedient, I guess, has been amazing. And for the low cost of that app, I'm like, man, I wish I would have known about this 2 years ago. So we're trying to break some of the habits Cookie has. He plays really rough and he jumps up on people, and I'm like, Cookie, you just gotta chill out. You know what I'm saying? When people come over here, you can't be jumping all on them. Some people might not mind that. Some people definitely mind, and it's a no. Cookie, you gotta reel some of that behavior in. So dog training has been going well. If you have a dog or a puppy or whatever and you're trying to train him or her, I highly recommend the Good Pup app. I have been talking about decorating this house all podcast season, and I feel like I'm definitely in a good groove. I ordered some stuff last week that I'm going to use to decorate the little boys' rooms. I'm very excited to see their space, transform into being more of like a big boy space. I feel like once I'm done with their rooms, I'll just start going through the house and kind of like fine tuning things. So I'm trying to decide on how I feel about curtains. I open the blinds in our house every day, or at least the ones downstairs where I live during the day. I open those blinds every day because I like for the natural light to come into the house. But I also feel like curtains make your house feel more pulled together and cozy. They're like the outfits for the windows, So I'm trying to figure out if I like curtains, and if I like curtains, what kind of curtains do I like? And then what kind of color would I want for a curtain? So that's where I'm at right now, trying to figure out like the smaller touches that bring a space together. I've started hanging pictures, and if I haven't put up pictures, then I've put up like the photo gallery template of what I would want the photos to look like on the wall. And so we've been playing around with some of those to try to, see how pictures will lay out. We're talking about painting certain rooms or certain walls in the house. We have flat paint in our house, which anything about paint, that is not a good match for having children in your home. So I'm really considering like just slowly repainting our house and getting it in latex paint so that I'm able to like wipe walls down instead of always going through here every, I don't know, twice a year and just touching up paint from where little hands have been touching everything without wiping their little hands off. So I feel like the house decorating thing is going really well. I'm happy with my progress. And before we go, can we talk about printers really quick? Okay, so I had to print something the other day. And somebody can tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm just like absolutely clueless. And I'm sure that could be the case. Okay? So I go to print something. I had to make a return. I ordered some shoes, got the shoes, thought they were cute, but they were just too big. So I needed to send them back. I go to my computer and I'm like, okay, I'm just printing a return shipping label in black and white. And I know my ink is low. Like I know Canon is about to tell me my ink is low. But all I'm doing is printing black and white. So, and I know I have plenty of black ink. So this should be fine. I'm going to print this and then I'm going to go. It literally would not print that for me, even though I checked the little black and white only box. It would not print it for me because some of the other ink was low, and not even all of the ink. It was just like one or two of them. One of them was yellow, and so I replaced the yellow, and I'm like, okay, well, surely we don't need, I think it was yellow, and maybe it was the red color. I don't know if they call that magenta or what they call it in the printer, but like the yellow color, which is yellow, and like the reddish color are out. Oh, and photo blue is out. And I'm like, we don't even use this printer to print photos, but I guess photo blue must go into the black. I don't know. And so as I've been thinking about this, because again, y'all know I don't really Google anything unless it's something that I feel like is super, super important. So something small like this, I'm not even going to bother with Googling it. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they mix photo blue, this red and this yellow, and then they sprinkle some of the black that's in the printer all together to make the black ink, which capitalism. You just want my money. You just want me to continue to buy ink, even though you know this black. Because I remember back in the day, you could go buy a black ink cartridge. You could check that box that said print in black and white only, and you could print. There's no way I made it through college printing papers, having to solely rely on buying all of the colors that a printer might be able to use. And I know I probably used the computer lab too, because I was probably too cheap to keep buying ink. But what is the world coming to? How do these people even sleep at night? I don't know. They probably sleep really well. They probably got like Egyptian cotton sheets, because I know one thing. If every time one ink cartridge goes out, that's going to shut down my printer completely. And you're telling me I got to go buy a whole nother set of ink or like another ink cartridge just to keep this thing running? Like, what is the purpose? What is the use? That really got on my nerves last week or this week. That was actually the other day. That really got on my nerves. So yeah. And I tried to go through the settings on the printer to see if maybe I was tripping. I was like, there's got to be a setting in here that allows me to disable the rest of these colors that, girl, no one needs because no one is using them. We're literally only ever printing in black on white paper. So I got to be able to at least turn these other colors off. And Canon was like, no, you're going to either go to Target and give them $50 for a whole nother set of ink cartridges. Then you come home, you fill this printer up with all that ink, and then I will print for you. Or, girl, you'll figure it out. You'll figure out some other way to get this shipping label printed for you so you can go to UPS and make your little return. That's what they said to me, and I didn't appreciate it. And what's so frustrating about this, and then I'm going to stop complaining about it. What's so frustrating about this is that when you look on the ink display screen where they show you how much of each ink you have, I have more than half of the black ink cartridge available in my printer. It's the other random colors that are either low or close to being empty or empty. So I definitely have black ink in there. They just don't want me to use it because they want me to go buy ink. So if I'm wrong about this, if there is a setting, if you have a Canon printer and there's something that I'm getting wrong about this, please feel free to reach out to me and set me straight so that I can go back to printing black and white only without having to keep going to Target, because you know what happens when you go in there. You go in there for ink. Then you pick up something else. Then you pick up something else. Then you pass by something else. Now you're picking up lip gloss and lipstick. Now you're looking at bathing suits. And before you know it, you went in there to buy $50 worth of ink, and you're coming out with $200 worth of stuff. And you've got that sweaty Target thing going on that Target does to you, because you're nervous. Like, you're anxious being in there because you're trying to hold on to your money. And Target is like, literally, it's tug of war. I want to keep my money. Target wants to take my money. And we're going back and forth. Now I'm a sweaty mess. And all I needed was to print that return label in black only. And like, look at us. Look at us now. That's what they want from us. And we can't let them win, girl. We can't let them win. So probably still going to place the order for that ink in the app and do a drive-up order, so I'm not tempted, and so that I can continue to use my printer. But that's it for me today. It was so nice talking to you, catching up. Now, just to give us a little heads up of what's to come, I've been thinking a lot about how these podcast seasons are going to run. I didn't give that much thought before because I didn't know people were going to enjoy this as much as they do. But I had to think about how the season is going to run. And I think what I'm going to do is it's going to reflect my children's school schedule, right? So when they get out of school in May, we'll take a summer break. So that means we'll have new episodes in April. We'll have new episodes in May, and in June and July and August. You know, we're going to have fun in the sun. We're going to get these children ready to go back to school. And I'll be back with all new episodes after Labor Day. So fun, so exciting. And I love that for us, girl, that we can take time out every month to talk to each other. We can get all that family time in over the summer, kick back, relax, get these babies ready to go back to school in August, and then we will reconvene in September. But, you know, we'll talk more about that probably in May. I have so enjoyed talking to you today. I hope you take those 3 C's and you use them to the best of your ability so that you can find more success in the doing. When you're out, when you see another woman, lift her up, say something nice to her, smile at her, make her feel comfortable in whatever space that you are in, because when you compliment each other and treat each other well, we uplift the sisterhood as a whole. Remember, don't compare, don't compete, don't complain. What God has for you is for you. I will talk to you next time. Love you. Bye.